So as Chuck mentioned, my name is Joni Khattar. I'm a senior product manager here at Algolia on the data platform side. So yeah, what I'm going to be talking about today is really kind of what is Algolia Fetch, the problem that we're trying to solve with Algolia Fetch, use cases, common use cases and applications of using our sort of Algolia Fetch feature. A quick demo, how it works under the hood, talk about sort of some of the limitations, constraints, and some pricing, and how to get started. All right, so many of you likely have struggled or continue to struggle with data quality. Critical information scattered across disparate systems, incomplete product needs, lacking vital attributes. Keeping this up to date is, an ongoing constant struggle, right? And so integrating with various third-party APIs, each with their own quirks and complexity, just adds to that development workflow. And so really where we're here is to talk about sort of data enrichment and introducing Algolia Fetch. So this is really a new feature that allows you to enrich your Algolia data directly within the data transformation pipeline. Imagine that you can, retrieve your supplemental information from any external API as your data is being indexed. It's basically using a simple JavaScript function. You can basically integrate to any external source, which is going to significantly enhance the data quality, the context, discoverability, and obviously the search relevance. So the use cases here, so many, but just to kind of go through some of them, you could integrate shipping options for each product, for each of your records, maybe automatically generating translations, different language translations, maybe converting currencies, or maybe from centimeters to millimeters for measurements. Really common use cases leveraging large language models to maybe extract some metadata, or maybe some short descriptions, either from text and image. Connecting to your CRM data to retrieve some audience preferences, which you could attach, for better relevancy and ranking. The list goes on. I think, common third-party services that we've seen in testing, and as this feature launched into GA in February of this year, have been some of these Google Maps, sort of weather APIs, CRM data, sort of purchase history data, but the list goes on. Really, there isn't, we haven't sort of restricted this, it is sort of any external API. So maybe just getting into a quick demo is what we need here. So just going into my screen. So as I'm in the dashboard, I'm just going to go into sort of data sources and go to connectors. So if you watched the last DevBit that I was at last year, where we launched data transformations, you'll remember that in order to get to our data transformations and now fetch capabilities, you start in the connectors area, which is under data sources. We have a range of connectors, some of which are going to be the no-code connectors, as well as the connector that allows you to use data transformations with API client. Today, I'm going to use our Fetch from Algolia connector, which is going to allow me to basically use the source, that one of my indexes as a source. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to use my clothing index here that I've set up. It's got a small amount of records, and I'm just going to create that source. And then it's going to allow me to go into the transformation. And this is where the magic happens. So this is our code editor, so the data transformation capability. To get to our fetch or data enrichment feature, you go to the helper functions, and you're going to go to fetch API. And then it's going to give you a range of different helper functions that are predefined. But bearing in mind that this is a code editor, like, you can write any function that you want in JavaScript. We've just made it easier to get started with these helper functions. So of course, with your API key or basic auth. And then we've got some really obvious ones that have been quite popular. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use the OpenAI vision, which is going to allow me to send out an image to my large language model to generate some metadata. I think in the case today, I'm going to just generate some color tags from my product images. So let's go ahead and get started. It's just going to launch the helper function here. And I can see that there's like a dummy prompt and a dummy image. So if I go and just quickly just click on this, you can see this is the image here that is in the dummy one. I'm just going to quickly show you actually that what it will produce. But before I do that, I'm actually going to set up my secret. So of course, the caveat to using this is that you need to have a service account with any of the APIs. And so I'm just going to go ahead and create my secret. So I'll just call it OpenAI. Let's just make sure I've got the right thing in here. That looks like the key there. And then I'm just going to stick it into a little kind of helper here. It's going to auto suggest. So this should give me the connection to my service account. And it should just be able to attach it's going to attach the, basically what the prompt's saying. It's saying, hey, tell me what's in the image, separate by keywords. It's saying, add the field, my field. So let's just quickly look. I just want to make sure that everything's good. Great. Okay. So my field is separated by keywords, like it's giving me the output. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to change my prompt because I want in my particular records, which I can see here in the preview, is I want to add a color label. So what, let me just double check let me just write the prompt. What is the color of, and in my case, my clothing are just all tops. So I'm just going to ask, I'm going to be like quite specific and say, what is the color of the top in this image? And then only reply with keywords separated by comma. That should be good. And then I'm going to change the image URL to obviously look to one of my attributes. So let's just take this out and just add the record. So I think it's going to be showcase image should be good. So there we go. And then I'm just going to change. So you can see here, I've specified the model, predefined. You could use any model. It's of course telling you that because this is a helper function that's around image to text, to use obviously a model that has vision capabilities. I'm just going to change my attribute to be color. So, and of course you can change the max token size just if you want to, manage costs. This should be good. I'm just going to go ahead and run the preview and let's just have a look, just bring this up here. Great. So I can see here, it's just giving me some colors. So, if I was to take a look at the image here, it's just going to, that looks pretty good, So I'm going to go ahead and save it. I have like 5 records. I kept it lightweight, not a big catalog. It's just 5 products in my shop. So let's just call it color tag. Add this here. Just as a quick note, you can toggle between different records as well. So, this is another record and it's given me obviously another result. Let's just save that transformation. So that is my enrichment done. I'm going to go and create a new destination because I want to, maybe I'm doing some A/B testing, right? So I'm adding in a color tag to see if it's going to make a difference. So let me just say clothing index with color tag and just go ahead and create this destination, which is the index. I'm going to do a field reindex. So we've done some changes here in our UI just to make it clearer. Obviously, different types of way of how you may want to update your data. So I'm just going to, load 5 records into this new index and create that task, and off we go. So this shouldn't take too long, and we'll be able to go ahead and see in the index how things are shaping up. So I can just look here. I can look here in the debugger. So green means go. Switch over here. So it's still just kind of, just give it another minute or 2. It shouldn't take long. That looks good. All right. Let's have a look. Here we go. All right, so I can see here I've got my color label. So again, just 5 records, but I'm just going to so I can have a quick look through. And I can see, yeah, looking good, looking good. And it's done what it's needed to do. Super helpful. So yeah, like this is a really kind of quick example of just fetch in action, enrichment action, try it with short descriptions, longer descriptions. Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. So I guess under the hood, just to sort of recap on what we've seen, Fetch operates within the data transformation step. So, you go to connectors, it's part of the data transformation capability. Yes, you are writing JavaScript functions, but yeah, there's helpers there and we want to add more. So of course, we'd love to hear from the community on other helpers we could add. And, you connect your service accounts via secrets. We retrieve the necessary data, allow you to enrich the records. And yeah, basically, feel free to play around and just, create your own functions and customize as you see fit. You may need to do a fetch call and maybe you're doing a bunch of stuff as outside of, enrichment and doing some data prep at the same time. And you can, build fairly complex data transformations in this code editor, which is pretty cool. So just to kind of go through some limits and constraints, these are super important. This is our first foray into enrichment. We have a lot of great things to come that I'll be excited to share later in the year. Just as a kind of caveat to sort of fetch, we have got a timeout in there. Mainly because it's synchronous, right? This is part of your ingestion workflow. This is part of your, pipeline. And so we need to be mindful of not holding things up and having too much latency. So a lot of data transformations and fetches is being designed to be lightweight. And so hence the response sizes and the timeouts. We do obviously have a bit of a cap at the number of fetch requests, which we're looking at evolving, of course, with feedback. And as we see with more usage, that of course we would look for, evolving the caps and having additional ways to, to get more access to fetch requests. And of course, bring your own service accounts for now. And this is available on all committed plans. There will be an add-on for PayGo customers. And that's going to be coming out very shortly in the next sort of few weeks. So yeah, I guess just to summarize next steps or how to get started, we'd love to have the feedback. I think, we know that data quality is paramount to the success of search and discovery. Really just start exploring that data sources tab in the dashboard, start experimenting with the helper functions. We've got Algolia docs where we talk through kind of how to get started and the specific technicalities of fetch and data transformations. And of course, we would just love to hear your feedback on how we could make things better and evolve this. So thank you for listening. It's been much appreciated, and I would love to answer any questions you have. And if I can't answer them, I can go away and find out the answers.
Joni, I have to say, I don't know if you've been following along, but significant number of questions and a lot of chat. A lot of people are really excited about this feature. I'm going to ask a question because I can selfishly do that as the host ahead of time. I know you've got JavaScript here. I know a lot of folks that kind of work with backend data transformation and things like that tend to do a lot of Python. Any thoughts on Python in the near future?
Oh, it's come up. It's been the subject. It has been the subject. It's not something that we're tackling right now. But again, if this is something from the community and from our customers and that would help to get more usage. And it's all about, we want people to use this, right? We want to have big adoption. So we would certainly take a look at that and see if we need to reconsider Python as an option.
Excellent. And I know I'm excited to hear that it's going to be an add-on for our PayGo plans. That's fantastic. I'm going to get to our user questions, though. It's only fair. The first one is from Gerhard, who wants to know, is there an example of weather-based recommendations? I think you might have mentioned weather. Do we have something built, or is there going to be a place where maybe people can start looking for examples or submitting examples?
Helper function is that the what we absolutely can there's so many examples, and I think this is kind of an interesting one. We're attaching sort of like weather and like how we want that to affect sort of ranking and sorting and relevancy. It's just so we can absolutely look at developing a helper function that could help people get started in that way.
Cool. And Gerhard, that might be a fun one for maybe my team to tackle on a live coding session or something at some point. So look for that coming up soon. Vinay wants to know, are we limited to OpenAI models only, or can you use other models?
Any model. Right now, we've just got a couple of helpers in there for the OpenAI. Any model, as long as you have a service account, go for it. You would just develop the function yourself. Again, it's something that we can look into, adding more helper functions, and trying to crowdsource some of that as well from the community, so we can get them into the dashboard sooner is an idea that we have as well. So yes, it's not limited to just OpenAI.
Awesome. All your models. Raymond wants to know, well, he says, I think you covered this, but I missed it. Can the code check to see if the color was already added to the record and only do the expensive Gen AI call if it isn't in there?
Yeah, so there is that you could write some of that into your function, and I think some of this is what we're looking to tackle. We're underway with a project around AI attribute enrichment that will take this a little bit further and take it out into a asynchronous workflow with some of those considerations. So I think, yes, you could probably write some of that into your function, but I think some of that productization is going to come through kind of the future iterations of fetch and AI enrichment on the Algolia side.
Got it. Okay. Another one from Raymond. Can we import required node modules? Is there a whitelist, or how does it work?
Ooh, no, well, yeah, so like packages and stuff like that. So no, I don't think so. And this is where I might need my developers to help me out. So yeah, we're not quite in a position to sort of do any sort of imports of sort of different external packages, if that's how I understand that to be. But I might need to just double check with my engineering team.
Got it. So you can call whatever APIs you want, but as far as having complex packaging and things like that, this is really, think of it more almost like a Lambda function, right? Where it's nice and small and self-contained.
Yeah, and it's because you're obviously in the JavaScript, it's like, our helper functions are basically those, user-defined functions. And so I think what we want to do is start to get a better way of like how I could save some of my functions myself, and how I could, how do we crowdsource some of those functions so I could take examples from the community and have sort of shared functions available to me. But yeah, packages and functions outside, yeah, I don't think we're in that position to sort of do some of that right now. But I will just double check with the engineering team on that.
Well, I'm already smelling a pattern where your complex code sits externally with an API surface that you can call from your fetch function, right? So that is definitely one option you could do as a kind of a way around it. Feature request from Harlan. They want to make sure that there's going to be versioning, or they would love to see versioning on transformation functions. So yeah,
versioning, rollback. I think some of these things are absolutely surfacing. So in future iterations to come, definitely, it's a must.
Cool. And Federico wanted to make sure this is actually in production at this point.
It is. Yeah, it's been in production since early February.
And Federico, I don't know if you caught it, but right now it's available if you have a committed plan. So those are sort of the plans where you're paying a fixed amount per year. The pay-go plans, like the grow plans and things like that. It sounds like Joni said that it's going to be coming for those as well. So that might be why you're not seeing it.
Yeah, we'll have an add-on imminently. And please get in touch and again, we can, sort of try and keep you posted on when we're going to have that add-on available.
Again, I'm having flashbacks to when I was supporting AWS Lambda, because the next question is, since it's supporting 15 seconds, can we set up some interval for the task if we want it to run for more than 15 seconds? I remember this so well.
Yeah. right now, it's more about performance on again, because it's in this synchronous workflow. It's we have a much smaller limitation if you're just using some of the standard helper functions that are non-fetch. Our data transformation actually helper functions are 1 second. With fetch, obviously, we've broadened that out to 15 seconds just to think about some of that generative use case. Beyond that, we're going to sort of run into issues. So hence why some of the asynchronous workflow around where we're taking this in the future is really paramount and key, I think, to sort of address some of the complex use cases.
Right. And remember, this is about data enrichment, right? If you're doing very complex transformations, you still have the ability to kind of do partial updates outside of this process. Obviously, we love it. We want to get as much into the data pipelines as possible, but you do have other options as well for things that are more complex or more time consuming. I think, let's see. Oh, can we run this on custom self-hosted LLMs? I think would the answer be as long as there's an API exposed? Is that true?
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly. As long as there's an API to connect to and you've got your creds, yeah.
And there was a lot of chatter within chat as well. I don't know, Joni, if you're going to be sticking around, but I think there's some engaging conversation going on there. If you can jump in,
I'll check it out. Yeah, I will be sticking around for another 5 minutes, so I'll go check it out. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the questions.
Yeah. Well, I think people are very excited for Fetch, so thank you for sharing it with everyone, Joni.
You're welcome. Thanks again.